Hello again. I will be the first to concede that showing pleasure in the misfortune of others, what the Germans call Schadenfreude, is not pleasant. I always try to avoid indulging in this sentiment, but in the case of Ireland, it's very difficult this week. For some while now, those ruling Ireland have delighted in, and boasted of, the huge number of immigrants coming to the country from Africa and Asia. During the brief period when the Republic was revelling in its nickname of the Celtic Tiger, it was claimed that so rapidly was the economy growing that it would be necessary to bring in many immigrants to fill all those new jobs being created in the powerhouse of an economy which Ireland now enjoyed. Of course, the Celtic Tiger business fizzled out, but immigration continued to grow and grow and grow. It was a bit like the scene in Walt Disney's Fantasia, the Sorcerer's Apprentice, when starting a process is easy enough, but it then turns out it's all but impossible to stop it once you've begun. The jobs and houses were no longer there, but still the flood of newcomers, sometimes referred to as the New Irish, kept arriving in the country. The invitation for immigrants has thus come back to bite those who made it. Something similar has happened to the open borders which Ireland insisted on. Remember during the Brexit negotiations when Ireland thought that it was a good time to embarrass the British and make life difficult for them as they tried to withdraw from the European Union? They thought it was a golden opportunity to bring the unification of Ireland a step closer too, by insisting that the border between Northern Ireland and the Irish Republic should be completely open and invisible, with not so much as a camera scrutinising those who cross the border in either direction. Does everybody remember that? This was the wish of the Irish, with the British not feeling that it was a good idea. Still, they gave way, and there is now nothing at all to prevent anybody strolling into Ireland from Northern Ireland. Of course, open borders always mean increased immigration. It's practically a law of nature. So it has proved in this case, because Nigerians are entering Britain and then travelling to Northern Ireland, from where they make their way across the border into Éire and claim asylum. There is, you see, a large Nigerian community in Ireland, about 3/4 of whom are Yoruba. Ireland's entry in the Miss World contest in 2022 was a Nigerian woman who was born in Africa, and the fastest man in Ireland is a Nigerian called Israel Olatunde. The Deputy Prime Minister of Ireland is now complaining that many asylum seekers, mostly Nigerian, are crossing the border into his country and blames Britain for the influx. You see, already there is a shanty town in the middle of Dublin where tents have been set up in the streets by those hoping to be given houses by the state. This is, to say the least of it, very unpopular among ordinary Irish people, and they blame their government for the state of affairs. You can't really blame Irish politicians for saying it's Britain's fault. I suppose it's worth a try. Something which has been noticed is that of all the nationalities who are becoming the new Irish, Nigerians are the largest takers of services. Only 40% of Chinese people coming to live and work in the country use the medical services, such as hospitals and GPs. 90% of Nigerians use such things, and it almost looks as though, for many of them, this is the chief attraction of the country. The present government in Dublin is now sweating blood because they know that all this will be remembered at the next election, which is why they're so keen now to pretend that Britain's Rwanda plan is causing all the asylum seekers to flock to their country. It is rather that Britain is getting pretty full these days, whereas there are only 5 million people in the whole of the Irish Republic. Plenty of room for the new Irish to make themselves at home. As I say, Schadenfreude is an unattractive thing to feel or display, but in this case it's almost impossible to avoid.